Hey guys, it's Kaya. I'm back with my alien abduction experiences with the breeding program here in the United States. This is part 9. And it should be, I think we should be wrapping it up at this point. Yep, this should be the end. Part 10, when I do part 10, that's going to actually be the drawings. So I did already show y'all what the brown reptile kind of looked like, but I want to also draw pictures of the archons and of the dragons. I haven't had time to do that yet, but if you want to see that, go on Alien Abduction Awareness, because that's where I actually had most of my actual drawings, and those are very good drawings that I have that are there. But unfortunately I can't log into that ever again. They ended up locking me up and taking all my stuff, which we're going to get into that part of the story now. All right, so this is part 9, and let's get started. Okay, so moving to Colorado. So now I had to take what little money I had saved up for a place of my own, which I knew they didn't want me to have. So I had ended up saving. I was only getting paid like Wyoming. You barely get paid shit. So I was getting paid like, I think maybe $11 an hour, $12 an hour, something like that. I think maybe $10 an hour, something very low. And all I was getting was maybe like 600 on, if a good paycheck would be 600, but not much. But I saved every paycheck. I didn't do anything fun for myself. And there wasn't much to do really in town. There was just, movies. There wasn't any, it wasn't like a city, like there's stuff to buy, you know what I mean? So I saved all of my money, every penny of my money, for a place. The minute I just about had enough money saved up for a place, which was $3,000 in my savings, which I'm very good at saving money. My mother and my father, my whole family would never ever save money, and they hated that. Anytime I'd have money saved, they would know about it. It's like, oh, we want it. Like, oh my God, they're just so money hungry. So basically, the minute I just about had enough money saved, that's when they sent this whore to fuck with me. It's clear that this group begins trying to ruin everything in my life when I get a certain amount of money in my account. And I always save money, unlike my loser family, like I said. So with the mermaid of Mesopotamia, that's like, oh, how dare her have money? How dare her have anything at all? I wanted to have a home, a peaceful home, living with no one and not my mother. I wanted to be alone. That was my goal. They made it so hard. They still have made it. They've made it impossible, nearly impossible. It is basically they what they'll do is they'll make it to where you just can't have a home. And they've done this to actually somebody else actually mentioned the same thing was done, and they also live in the same county that I'm in right now, and they have been through the same bullshit. So basically I ended up moving to Colorado. Eventually, the pain in my back went away, but it was a lot of pain. It lasted for a long time. I believe this might have been, I don't know if it was poisons, witchcraft, I don't know, but it was really bad. I didn't get that pain again, thank God. I had to take like CBD, like edibles, stuff like that. That helped. But yeah, so like I said, I no longer was abducted or having nightmares. I no longer was being touched in my sleep or violated. The crazy thing is all these stalkers are here and it's still not happening. Like I think there was once they did do something, like I think they got in my sleep and did something on my throat or something, but that was like it. They still cannot abduct me or like violate me to this day. Wyoming might be a different story because I did have it where I was camping in a tent and I could feel like somebody was going down on me. I could feel it. I could really like feel that and stuff like that. So and it was also some other experiences where like it was like I had a dream and like John was there and like making me give him oral sex, like these types of sexual dreams. So that I believe in Wyoming, they're able to do the same kind of thing that they do in California, where they're able to molest me in my sleep. I believe that this is some kind of law that they have where if you have a mental health disorder, basically you're allowed to be sexually assaulted in your sleep. I've heard that this is the law in California. So I'm a little bit worried about going back to Wyoming because I don't know if I'll be violated in my sleep again. Because I actually was violated in my sleep in Wyoming. Yes, I was. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to say that I don't know if they probably do have aliens out there. I don't know if it's the same program, but yeah, I was touched while I was sleeping multiple times. Like I don't know if they stalked me up there or whatever. So Colorado, as bad as it is, they are not able to abduct me here. They are not able to violate me or anything. But I will tell you guys about the alien experience I had in Delta. There was an alien that it got really close. Lights. This was an alien vehicle, and it was so scary. It had lights, these different kind of lights in the vehicle, and it flashed lights in and paralyzed me, and I was so scared. I thought it was going to take me, but it was just looking and looking at me, and that was really scary. But I think I put those. I don't know if I added those, but I'll talk about them, and I'll make it part 10 if I get to that. But let's get back into this. So I ended up having an awesome life, kind of living like the van life, like kind of like, but just in a car. Like I would alternate between camping and sleeping in my car. My car was stuffed with stuff, but I was free. I was happy, away from my mother and all these sickos. I began to try things I always wanted to try, like bushcraft and survival. The brown reptilian was saying something about needing to know how to survive and all about these survival missions. And I mostly wanted to learn to survive and live freely because I had no place. I just believed that like this technology, all these buildings were just so ugly. They still are ugly to me. And I've just wanted to live like just freely and just be able to live naturally, like fully naturally, where I'm just living like with the earth and stuff like that. So, um, adjusting to the cold was different, but I wasn't afraid. I survived and I was okay. I camped in my tent in winter and learned how to do things for books and videos. I adapted, and that was the most important thing. I remember getting mild hypothermia for the first time when I camped in Wyoming because I mean that was from 80 degrees to 8 degrees. When I moved to Wyoming, like all through I was driving, I mean it was just basically I think I got there within a couple weeks or so, and the change it just was sudden that I had to adapt so suddenly. It's like you adapt or you die, basically. Um, the sun came out in time and I was okay. That never happened again because I got better at survival. I ended up getting a tent heater. But it was cold. It was pretty cold, but I love it. I want that cold back. But that cold is now gone because all of the illegal aliens that Biden has put here into the Rocky Mountains, which we need to find a way to heal that and bring that cold back. Um, so I enjoyed the snow and cold because I never got to grow up with it or experience it in Southern California. It doesn't snow. It's always mostly hot, and this was a totally different experience. I guess I wanted the opposite from what I want to live in the cold. And it's still like that. And that's why I don't want to be here anymore. Because now it's packed with illegals and it's packed with heat. And I don't like it. So adjusting the cold was different, but I wasn't afraid. I was not afraid for 1 minute of the cold at all. I survived and I was okay. I can't, like I said, oh, sorry, I went over that. I'm so sorry, I read that part again. Oops. Sorry, I ended up actually getting really good at these projects. So when I got to Colorado, when I started doing stuff here in Colorado, I got really started working on these projects. I was told even by somebody, it's like, you should try out for Naked and Afraid. You should try out. And I actually speared a fish. My first project, I ended up making a clay stone oven, like not a clay stone, I'm sorry, taking rocks in Canyon City and just building like a stove, a oven, because I really wanted an oven. I wasn't able to cook in an oven anymore. So I'm like, let me make myself an oven. So did a little primitive technology, made myself an oven. I made pizza. I've made tostadas, like crispy. You can get crunchy pizza. It's like, it works just like an oven. It's like you have you can just take rocks and make it. It's just like you have what is it called? The fire roast, oven roasted no, I'm sorry. Oh, whatever they have at, those pizza places where you put yeah, I don't know, you know what I mean. So it was really good. I made also a fish trap that didn't catch any fish, but it really came out looking like really amazing. It was like pretty much perfect. It was really good. I think it maybe would have worked. Trout are really smart, so probably would have maybe worked somewhere else, but yeah, trout are smart, they're tricky. So it was awesome. And every project I did with plants, I made sure to get, like, I wouldn't cut any plants that were growing, like just make sure I'm getting kind of stuff more so off the ground, or if I see something that is kind of, limping off a tree or whatever, I'll take that. But I'm big on like making sure I'm not like taking from the earth or harming anything of the earth. So I went hiking every day. I did a 14er for the first time, Mount Chavano. I got all the way to the top, and it was awesome because I had people with me. And we were just all walking in the top. I just felt so good. I was so happy. I was in the best shape of my life. I ended up getting in touch with my father like shortly before I left Wyoming. So me being poisoned was actually all orchestrated to get me out of Wyoming and into the state of Colorado, another liberal blue state. And they will perpetrate the same gang stalking later on in 2021. I was in touch with my parents at the time because I needed my ID for my mother, and that got us started talking again. I had been talking to my dad again, and I can't remember how or why, but we started talking. That was when I started getting sick in my back. My parents seemed happy for me. They seemed like they were happy that I was happy and that I had a new life. My dad expressed that he was happy for me, and then he started to beg me to come home, and I didn't even understand why. At first, he was, very helpful. He was kind of even giving me like a little tips, like, hey, like you probably need this, or some little tips he was giving me. And I thought, well, that's a little weird. Why does he want me to come back home? He sees I'm so happy. He sees everything's going so well. Why would I want to go back to California? I now had a new home. Yeah, now they're working to darken the camera. Yeah, they're playing games on my. Yeah, it's just the same every single day, every day, the same. One moment. I'm just looking to see. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, wait. Okay, there we go. Just trying to deal with this technology is driving me crazy. That's why I'm walking away from all of this. Oh my God. So glad I'm finally almost done with this. Okay. So, my father wanted me to come back home, and I'm just like, that's no longer my home. I already had a new home now, and I made that very clear. We ended up no longer talking because he kept, every time I'll get on the phone, he was trying to beg me to come back home, trying to force me to do something I did not want to do. He was trying to dictate my life. He was trying to tell me what job I should work, and I got really, really started to get tired of that. Why would I move back to a state I was so unhappy in and that is full of illegal aliens, no English, no nothing? Why would I go back to that? So this was the beginning, 2021 was the beginning, came in and suddenly I was being gang stalked in the state. The minute 2021, the minute Biden got into office, basically. It all started with the SSI not giving me my disability check this month log. I'm like, what? This actually was an employee in the Montrose Social Security office that began to fuck with me on purpose. I guess he's fucked with multiple other people. I think his name is Bred. Think. I think that's his name. I don't exactly remember, but I think that's his name. So he started fucking me on purpose. I had no money for food or for my needs that month. I reported it and nothing was ever done. I guess this employee has been very rude to others and has caused a lot of problems. This was the beginning of me being gang stalked in Colorado. Basically, he was saying something that I owed back pay for something that it just didn't really make sense. Because I guess I had worked or something involving working, and they wanted to just take a whole check basically from me or something like that. And it didn't even make sense the way that he was doing this. It was crazy. So that was that. Um, so I began to start to notice things. And this is actually currently what is going on right now. This is all current. And I'm going to start noticing these things happening with these cars from Texas and California. They were already like following me up to Wyoming, but they could not stay there or live there because it was too cold and snowy for them. So when I lived in Wyoming, we had a real winter. That was real snow. We had a real winter. You didn't see no Hispanics. The only Hispanics that were there were the ones that were already living there, that were already there. There was no gangs, none of that. Now we don't have a winter. I realize that these people don't like the snow. They can't survive in the snow. The only reason why they're in this Rocky Mountains, something is going on where we are no longer having a winter. And I started to notice how, like, it all started in Salida. I began to notice in Salida, I'm going to go back. Salida was all white when I arrived there. It was safe. It was normal. It was great. The best place ever. That Salida is actually my home here in Colorado. And it'll always be home to, it'll always be my first home because this is where I've done all of these projects. Spear and a Fish in O'Haver Lake, all of that. So Salida is my home. And Salida means exit in Spanish. So actually, really, I feel like that exit means like exit the matrix. But now these Hispanics started to move in, and these are actually Mexicans, I believe, because there was an Italian shop, Di Pasquale's Pizza, that was there. The woman, when I had went there, she had actually had a really good deal. She had a mom and pop shop. Her tables weren't fancy. Nothing was fancy in there, but she had a mom and pop shop. She had a good deal on a pizza. You could get a pizza and a soda for a lunch. People loved it. It was great. It was very helpful for a lot of a lot of people actually weren't very rich in these mountains. They were not rich. It's none of that stuff. So affordable pizza and stuff and meals are very good. So this was a very good place. They ended up losing their business. Their business was taken over and it was replaced. Now that business is now replaced with a Mexican restaurant. Another business on the main road there in Salida Highway 50 is another restaurant. I believe it was a Village. I don't know what it was. That's now been turned into Casa Galaca, a Mexican restaurant. I then began to start to notice in Salida that these Mexicans were like following me around. I started to notice I was on the street one day and I noticed this Mexican yell something out to me, some Mexican girl, because I was like selling something. I think it was face mask, some kind of face shields. I was making some decorative ones, and she yelled some rude shit out to me, and I thought, wow, oh okay, so they're here now. I guess I didn't really pay attention to how quickly they were coming and how badly they were coming to try to fuck with me and try to think they was gonna come here and try to play. So basically, I started to begin to start to notice also black people moving in from I don't know. Something just told. I started to notice also Jews from California moving in, like rich Jews coming in, and I guess people were starting to tell me around Colorado how their property has been being. It's things are getting way too expensive. The property they've been pushed out of their properties, basically. So this COVID was all when this was like the effects of the COVID. I guess that they used this to be able to do this because part of this was actually like kind of the after effects of this pandemic. But honestly, things were just changing. It's way in a very crazy way. I had hoped when I first got to Salida, I thought, wow, I'm in an amazing place. It's great. I pray to God that these illegals never come over here, that they never come to this spot, they never come to Colorado and mess it up. I always did kind of have that fear and worry. Like it was in the back of my head though, but I did not think that ever that the snow would stop. I never thought that these illegals would come here because they do not belong here. This is not their land. They are not adapted to these conditions at all. They only belong in the desert and they have come up here trying to play and all that. But anyways, we're going to get back on. So basically what began to happen in California was I began to start to see, I no longer saw white people. Now here in Colorado, I'm starting to see the same thing now where I am now starting to see like more Hispanics than whites in Colorado, just like California became before, and now I want to move. I'm now being hit with the same frequencies and weaponry by these Mexicans, by these illegals. It's illegal Mexicans, illegal Indians, it's illegal Chinese, illegal Africans that are all using this technology. They do not belong here in America, and they have been allowed to come in here and do this to Americans. And it's disgusting. So they drove me crazy as they possibly could. And I regret not leaving the state when I began to see this. I was being stalked. I was being staked out. Anytime I would go to any fast food place, if the restaurant was empty, they would sit right next to me. I was being constantly hit with very, very bright lights, frequencies. I was also working a job at a bagel shop, getting up early every day, like working 6 days a week and getting gang stalked so much. I worked to make sure I didn't snap in California, which is good because I didn't, because those jails are awful in like third world. But I finally ended up snapping after this campaign against my life and constant stalking for probably about 6 or so. It started 2016, so years. This was after I cut my mother off and out of my life, I began being stalked and I had gunshots fired close to my car. This was about a day or 2 days after there was a serial killer going around and shooting homeless to death. I was not wanted alive because I was homeless, and my mother criticized my choice to be homeless over living with her. So did my father and grandmother. My mother had her friend Jane basically stalk me, like call me on the phone, begging me to come home, saying like, oh, and trying to transform me into like a Jehovah's Witness or something like that. They would not stop. They would not leave me alone. And at the time, I kept noticing like Texas plate after plate, and I knew it was my own father doing it because he had even tried to talk me into moving to Texas and with him and live there, I guess. And that when I heard my father on the phone and talking about Texas and this, and I'm like, oh my God, that's who's been stalking me. That's who's been doing this shit. I had IP addresses for Texas stalking me and cars stalking me for years. And I knew he was connected at this point. He had also spoken about getting a sign for something for life insurance on me, and he spoke about my mother and grandmother trying to get me to commit suicide for years for the insurance money once again. And so at my job that I got, Einstein Bros Bagels, which was in Jefferson County here in Colorado, that was right by Golden, actually Denver West. I worked at the Einstein Brothers Bagels. And about 2 days after I was hired, this bitch from Texas with Texas plates was hired. She looked like my mother. She had the pale skin, light skin trick. She had the big old bubble eyes, the eyes that protrude. These eyes are bubbles. Stay far away from these people. They are not human. Stay far away. I was getting hit with frequency. She would like point her cell phone at me, causing pain, causing the worst headache of my life, making it very hard for me to work. I didn't want to work near her, and I think it maybe kind of like upset my manager. It was like I kind of would ask my manager, "Can I move?" like or whatever, and like I was being drove crazy, and I was on month 2 of my period. Whatever they were hitting me with was causing me to bleed and bleed and bleed and disrupting my sleep every single night. I ended up having to sleep at church parking lots were the only safe place that I could get peace at night, and then have to constantly hear cars driving down the street with very loud noise. It was nonstop terror. I barely got any sleep. The same thing is still going on. One day at Starbucks, one of these people came like staking me out in the parking spot next to me. It was a Mexican with glasses. And he already had a broken side mirror, like he had a paper plate. I had wanted these people to stop following me and fucking with me at every location. Because usually they're doing it right now where whenever I show up somewhere, they'll show up just 2 minutes after, and they'll park right next to me in a whole empty parking lot. So what I decided to do is I decided that I was going to just take a bat. And I knew his car was already damaged by another TI, targeted individual. I took a bat and I just hit him in the mouth lightly, just to give him a warning. First, I hit the side mirror. I hit that shit back down because it was taped up with duct tape. I hit that back down, hit the bat in his mouth. That was all I did. I recorded it because the way that he was parked it was clear on the video that he was stalking me, and I recorded it. Hit him in the mouth, walked away, and nothing. Just walked away, no problems, nothing, no cops, no police. I continue going to work, and everything's okay. So, so one night I was rushing out of church in my car. The night before, I was actually being followed for hours by cars with Louisiana and Texas plates down rural roads. I was getting to the point where I was ready to kill because I was being drove crazy. They would follow me from behind. They would follow me from the front. I saw like all kind of different plates. I ended up cooking a meal in my car and relaxing in my car where I could be safe at the church like all day the next day. And this time a gang stalker decided to get on the property. It was a blonde, white male. He had like blondish hair. He had thin rim glasses. He had on shorts, and then he had on some socks with like rainbows on them. He was jogging. He jogs over to my car. I'm just sitting at his park. I'm completely by myself. Nobody's here. Jogs over to my car. He gets behind this brick wall near my car for a minute, and then he runs back out. He runs and he starts running up the street and stuff like that. I think he did something on his cell phone, or I don't know what he did. But at this point, my space, my privacy, I just was so done with it being invaded. This has gone on for years and years, and I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to follow him and I'm going to fuck him up. So I ended up driving down the street, and he was running and stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to get out my car and go and chase after him, whatever. So I just took my car and I hit his butt, and basically like, then he ended up moving or whatever, like to the side. And I guess he got a bruise on his butt, and I ended up going back to work because it's like all I wanted to do was just save up my money, which I was trying to do to get a place to move, to leave. And I guess it was a mistake. I basically snapped, and yeah, I hit the guy's butt with my car, and it hit his and left him. I ended up being found at my job and arrested on closing shift like the next day. They sent like 6 police officers. They showed up like closing and knocking on the door, like we get in, and they sent 6 police officers to arrest me, one woman. That's how you know that I'm somebody that can unleash. And when they know that you have that DNA, see, they're afraid of me. That's why they needed 6 cops to arrest me with, yeah. So I never committed a crime in my life ever, but I was pushed to the complete brink, and I have been since 2016. Constantly cause Havana syndrome, hitting their see, look at the kind of stuff they'll just draw. They'll go down the hallways to hit me with the frequency just to go back, just walking around me, all different kind of stuff, constantly getting close to me over and over and over for years. And whatever devices they had hidden in their pockets, whatever, or if it's a cell phone app, whatever they're hitting me with, whatever, I explained it to officers that I was being stalked, and they seem to understand. But the biggest concern was my cell phone. Like, the first thing that they wanted was my cell phone. I had evidence of all my stalking on this phone. And I thought that, oh, okay, well, they wanted me to sign this thing to release my cell phone to them. I thought, okay, well, if I release it to them, they would see that I was being stalked and they would let me go. There's a lot of racism in this country. For whatever reason, there are racists that are hunting me. And it's like nobody even cares. So I had the evidence, and I thought it's on the release for him to look at it. Like, can you go through my phone, please, and see? And can I show you this video of what occurred? And no, they did not. This was a trick. This cop was racist. He was Chinese. One of the main ones behind this gang stalking too. They are communists who hate freedom. And they hate blacks for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't believe all of them do, but whatever this group is, this communist party, this is really what this is. So I lost everything. My car was taken, my clothes, my shoes, all little that I had. I had $4,000 saved up, which was supposed to go to me getting a place. Try to commit suicide in jail. They didn't really feed you. I was so shocked when they told me the charges. When I got to the court thing, this lady was like, saying I caused a broken nose, I caused a concussion, when I did not. These were all lies made up. It was insane. I was being framed. I had money to pay for a bond, but I had a broke loser family that could not help me as usual, just completely useless. Couldn't, first of all, you saved up no college fund. You never should have had kids in the first place. Fucking losers. So couldn't help me as usual. I spoke to my dad, and I could tell he was a part of getting me locked up for sure by his comments. He was involved with some of these people from Texas stalking me. He then had some redhead woman named Kristen, who supposedly worked with NAMI, National Mental Health Alliance, start to talk with me and begin to help me. But I honestly felt this was the same energy of the red-haired whore who'd been stalking me since long after this relationship with this John loser ended. So I think that this redhead that's been stalking me is whoever John dealt with or whatever. Because honestly, when me and John dated, he told me he was single. If he was involved, I think that maybe they were separated, or I have no idea, but I believe that this obviously is John's girlfriend or wife or whoever the fuck it is that's been stalking me. I don't want John. I don't want him. I never want him again. I don't want him. I don't want him following me. I don't want him attracted to me. I want him to move on. I'm just going to make that clear also in this video. Like, seriously, dude, seriously. So, basically, I was being held in this jail way longer than I should have been. I was told that I had to get a psychic evaluation that would take longer, and they had to medicate me. They purposely didn't turn in some form that was needed, causing me to be locked up even longer. I ended up losing weight and got the smallest I'd ever been in my life. I got down 150 pounds. And I was only eating, they had to give me peanut butter and crackers. I couldn't even eat a bite of food, nothing. And spent 9 months in jail being tortured by these racists. They fed me food that got me really, really sick. I saw they put mouse shit actually on my food. I got sick all the time. I wouldn't be able to report it. I had SSI disability. They were forcing me to pay for my medications, forcing me to pay for Tylenol, forcing me to pay for stuff like that. There was a bald African that was running and was head of the fucking jail, a Hamite. Yeah, this was one of the elite Africans, dark skinned, bald head African with glasses. One of them involved with this group as well. And they all just thought this was so funny. And if I argued back with the racist staff, it's basically this was all done in Jefferson County. Jefferson County is involved in torture here in Colorado. They are harassing the own citizens here of Colorado. They are repeatedly flying planes over, I believe it's Boulder or whichever area that it has been reported where people are being terrorized. Jefferson County is also involved in killing mountain lions. Specifically, they are killing mountain lions that they are tracking. There is a evil group here, and it's definitely coming out of this Denver. It's definitely coming out of this Jefferson County. I will be suing Jefferson County Jail. I also will be filing a restraining order against Jefferson County. I will be, you will be being, you are going to be facing big judgment. You're going to be giving a heavy payout to me, as well as Polis and the state of Colorado. So they refused to release me homeless, so I had to wait even longer. This is why this took so long, and they forced me to go live with my mother's friend Michelle. That was the only way that these people were going to allow me to leave. I remember this Michelle woman from when I was a child, my mother's friend, but I honestly never really liked her because she was like my mother. She would yell at China and Chance, her daughter and her son, all the time, and she would do the same shit. Like they were scared of just like with Keisha, like we were all scared of our mothers pretty much. So I really felt kind of with China, I felt very close to her because it's in Chance as well, because here we have two wicked, evil, abusive mothers, and we kind of were able to like really hang out, kind of connect that way. I was so devastated when she left and moved away from California. So I thought that Michelle had mood issues just like my mother. She had mood swings, whatever mood swing. I don't know. The crazy thing actually is she has the same birth date as John, November 22nd, and is also half Italian, just like John, which I have no idea. I don't know what that is, which is weird, but it's like, okay. So I guess that she ended up moving like eventually to Colorado with China. Like that's where she lived. And we no longer like saw her anymore, but her and my mother kept contact. They've been friends. And I stopped talking to my mom at one point before due to Michelle actually. So I guess that when I moved here to Colorado, like when I started talking to my mother, like she really wanted me to see Michelle. And, one went and I went to Michelle's place one day I finally did in Denver, and she was sharing a place with a man, and it was like in a like I got to sleep on a little couch, but this whole room was like hoarded. It wasn't clean. There was like cat shit. It smelled really bad, and this cat ended up like scratching me at night, scratching my face, and I just didn't like that. I just didn't feel like I could be, comfortable like in my tent. So I kind of ended up like wanting to leave, and I think maybe that hurt her feelings. I don't know, but she over the time she kept on trying to invite me to stay with her, and it's like I'm okay just living in my tent. I'm okay just living in my car. I'm good. Like I'm kind of like, yeah. So this is when I stopped talking to my mother the first time here in Colorado. My mother actually had her call me after I had surgery. So I had surgery to figure out why I'm bleeding like this, why I'm bleeding so much with my period, why I keep having periods so frequently, why I'm bleeding. And they did like, they looked inside. I know that they didn't tell me the truth. They just lied to me. They said, because they were trying to figure this out, and they tested also my bladder to see if there's something wrong with that. They said that they couldn't find anything, but she tested for endometriosis. She didn't look for adenomyosis, but later on I was diagnosed adenomyosis finally is actually what it's in the muscle. And apparently my mother actually had that as well. But anyways, I had to get a hotel. I had to save up my money. I was working at a Subway at the time with a very disrespectful fucking manager, a Mexican that had just come here from San Bernardino or wherever the fuck she came from, that I guess was the manager of Subway. Somehow they took over everything in Salida. I don't even know how, but like, so I saved up money. I had to get a hotel. I got a hotel at this hotel, which actually was involved also in gang stalking me, which is the Great Western Hotel in Salida. It's ran by Chinese people. They ended up actually even giving my key. And this was actually at a part where I was still healing from the surgery. It's the cheapest hotel in town. I had to get it for several days to heal. They ended up actually giving a copy of my key to a man to where I was in my hotel. This man with Indiana plates in a red Jeep comes up, puts the key in, and opens my door. And I'm like, what? Wow. And I was hit with frequencies so hard to where like, no matter what, I could not rest. I could not close my eyes. I could not sleep is what I was hit with in this hotel. And so basically I get a call. This was like basically crazy. I get a call from Michelle. My mother had her call me after I had surgery. I guess my mother was trying to call me after I had surgery. I was recovering in a hotel room. I had just got pain medicine, so I was like drugged. I was trying to relax, like with the pain medicine, let the pain medicine do its job and kind of lay down and rest. And next thing I know, I'm getting these calls over and over. My mother keeps calling me. This Michelle woman keeps calling me. So I answer the phone and I feel stupid because I didn't even know this number. And then it's this Michelle woman and she's like begging me to come over to Denver. Oh, come over and I'll help you with your job. And it's like, I'm all the way in Salida. I've already got a hotel. I told her I couldn't make it. I'm resting. I'm actually I'm allotted right now for pain. I can't drive. Like, what part of that don't you understand? So I noticed on the phone, then she starts like crying or something. I don't know what occurred, but at one point she started crying, talking about how, like, when she went to school, she was beat up by black girls. And I'm thinking, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? What the fuck does that have to do with anything going on right now? What does this have to do with that, with me? That's what I'm really thinking. And I don't know what happened, but I don't even remember what I said because I was drugged on medication from the hotel. But she did something and hit me with some kind of frequency to cause my legs to shake, my body to shake, to cause my pain medication to wear off or get fucked up or whatever. And I will never, ever forgive my mother or ever forgive this Michelle woman for doing that. Bitch, you are going to die. You already are. I know you're already suffering. I know you're already in pain. You're going to lose everything. If you have not lost everything, you are going to pay for that dearly. But you already are, bitch, and I already know you are. So she that's how it all started. So she harmed me knowing that I just got surgery, and to be that sick and that sadistic. This is why I will never, this, when I go back to this memory, it's like, this is why I know I never will speak to my mother again or this Michelle woman ever again. So I blocked her and my mother. My mother like apologized, saying she was so sorry. That was so wrong of Michelle to do that. And she shouldn't have called me. But like, her stupid ass gave my number anyways for her to do that. They orchestrated that. They wanted to torture me after I got surgery and after I was in pain. They were that sick. My mother has zero empathy. She has zero feelings. She is the type to actually hurt somebody that is already in pain. She is the type to hurt someone that is already in pain or hurt. She is non-human. This is a demon. This is where I permanently should have cut off the relationship, like I said, and never spoke again. But she's held my birth. I've had to keep getting in touch because she's held my birth certificate hostage and stuff like that, and all of that. Just had to ask somebody to move that just kept staring at me like this woman. I don't know what's wrong with these people, but whatever. So, anyways, living with this Michelle woman, basically for somehow my mother, I had to get in contact with my mother. I wasn't in contact with her, but I had to get in contact with her when I was in jail. I had to get a place to like live and figure this all out. And basically, I believe this was orchestrated. Them not releasing me. They wanted to find a way to release me, to like force me to live with this Michelle. For whatever reason, this Michelle woman wanted my energy, wanted to force me to live with her in some kind of way, because she kept asking me over and over and over, live with me, kind of like over and over. So living with Michelle was awful. The first day I got released and got over to her house, there was alcohol on her breath, and some guy was there. I hated people so much because every time I would deal with them, it's like some honeymoon phase where like eventually you see their true colors. They're abusive, selfish, and moody. And I knew that this was just what it was going to be. And that's exactly what it was. This is what my mother would do. She would usually pretend to be nice, so nice to me for a few days when we were apart from each other, especially when I tried running away to go back. And to go back to her evil, bitchy behavior, she would go back to it after a little while. It was like I was walking on eggshells with bitch, and I surely was not going to do that with Michelle. Michelle, I already know, works in the Air Force because I saw the Air Force mug. She drives a white pickup just like the rest of the gang stalkers. She had confessed to me that she has PTSD from molestation and all this bad stuff happened to her. All these people did stuff to her. I felt that I could connect to her more than my mom, but truthfully, she really hasn't been shit through her life. Look at my whole story. You sitting here complaining like, please, you had a man, you've had a child, you've got a house, you've got everything you need, and then this woman was drinking every day. Yeah, that doesn't make any. And I'm sitting here, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, and all of this stuff has happened to me. So I believe it's just like miserable, just evil, really wicked people. Because truthfully, her life story ain't shit compared to mine. Really ain't nothing. You've lived a privileged life, honey. A very privileged life. There, yeah. And so, anyways, she had like an Air Force mug, white. She drives a white pickup truck, just like the rest of the gang stalkers. And she cried a lot about how her kids didn't want to speak to her anymore. China and Chance, how they were done. But it's still, like I said, nothing was compared at all to my story. Imagine having your own babies ripped from you at birth. Imagine never even being able to have your child and never getting to experience a family at all, never getting to experience having a man at all or any of that. Being used, being bred, and having all your fucking money stolen. She had a nice condo and privilege, blonde hair, privilege, no problems at all, no hard life, none of that. So she just wanted to have what continually harp and portray on shit, have an excuse to be miserable and unhappy certain days. And one of the biggest reasons that I stay by myself, so I don't have to deal with people's mood swings. So now I was in a situation where things ended up going back. She was a narcissist, just like my mother. Now I was walking on eggshells. She expected me to be like a mind reader too. She telepathically calls me the N word, telepathically sending this dark energy, which is what they all do, which is why I'm not even speaking to nobody, because they all do this shit. I don't need them in my energy. So she expected, basically, I guess, for me to like let her know where I was going. Like, or something like that. Like, I guess maybe I went to the mall and I think I got back. She's like, oh, just let me know where you're going or something. Like, I need to let her know everywhere I'm going, basically. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm some tracked kind of animal. So basically, these people true color for their hatred for blacks came out more and more and more over the years. And it was sick, but I was glad that I was finally being shown who I needed to separate from. I would get headaches. So I get headaches around anybody from COVID, anybody who hates blacks. I get sick around, or I get a headache around. I could hear them saying the N word, and you ain't going to be in my energy. You just going to stay away. So Michelle started to target me once I started doing tarot. She had like these tarot cards, like a bunch of them, tons. And I thought that was cool. I always wanted to try, because I was addicted to watching YouTube tarot. I watched tarot videos and stuff like that. And I decided to start a YouTube, because I actually am psychic also as well. So I decided to go ahead and do it. I didn't expect it would grow so fast, but I was able to monetize pretty quickly. And I always wanted to work for YouTube. That was like always like my dream, to get a YouTube, and it was coming true. She actually taught me to think positive and manifest. And she got me, helped me with this like manifestation kind of work. There were many ways that she helped me, and I was trying to help her too. But she became very angry. She became very hostile and towards me for whatever reason. I was tired of living in a house anyways and wanted to live outside again in nature and out in the sun. I felt I get dull being in the house for too many days. Like my skin gets dull. I just don't feel well. Things ended on a very bad note, where I ended up having to move so quickly before I could even get a car. She was like accusing me of things I didn't do. She was being like just wicked, just for no reason, just trying to like take stuff out on me, like the same way like she had a bad day at work, the same shit that my mother did. And then she would have arguments with this guy. It was just like constant drama, just someone who loves drama, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I ended up getting a car in time, but I had to stay in a hotel for a couple of days and use my savings to do that. I believe that this was really the Most High that like made sure that I got in that car, because like honestly, if I'm homeless on foot, like I'm at risk of being raped, and I'm already been at that risk here in the city. I've already been, and it's insane. And I'm not even homeless like on foot yet, but they have work now. They're working that's basically what it's going to be now that they've stolen all my money. So I told her, thank you for letting me use the cards and teaching me some other positive things. I even told her, like, I really do actually like love, because I loved her, because she helped me so much. Like, I loved her as a friend. I really did. But she just became so cruel. And it's like, okay, there's just no way that I'll just never speak to you again, because you just hate me. And it's just like with the same thing with John, just this hate for no reason, no explanation, I have no time for this passive aggressive bullshit. So I walked away. And the gang stalking started to begin actually when I was living with this Michelle. Her name is Michelle Grant, MACHELLEGRANT, Grant. And the gang stalking started to begin shortly after she started to change towards me. I started to begin to notice people were starting to park frequently out in the parking lot. They were looking at me through the window. Weird kind of stuff. So she definitely has been involved, I believe, in this gang stalking in the state of Colorado, has been involved in partly sending these people to harass me. Now, right now, currently trying to sacrifice me at 33 years old. I just turned 33. This year is when things have gotten insane. So the minute I turned 33 is the minute they started to steal my money on YouTube. The one thing that I realized, no matter what you do, regardless, these people are always going to have an unending hatred for you. This is what my mother had for me my whole life. The most important thing was that I protect my energy, and I continue to protect my energy. It took a long time to finally separate from all these very toxic narcissist energies, but I finally did. My mother has a thing, as well as my grandmother, putting me in a situation where I'm so desperate for help financially that I keep them in my life. That is right now the year where I think that's what they're working to do right now. I've only been 3 months in this month, but now I want to say what 4 or 5. I think we're 5 months in this year, right? And it has gotten each month. This has gotten worse and worse and worse. These attacks, this everything that has been being done to me. I feel like I don't. I'm coming to terms for the fact that honestly, I feel like I've lived a long life. Being 33, honestly, I know through these experiences that there is no. I know I mentioned the Most High, but I have to realize that there may not be a Most High. It may be only these demons. It may be only these reptilians. I don't know. Nothing has been done to protect me. Nothing has been done to save me or anything like that. How would I don't know what to believe anymore. I have been freezing cold. I have gone without food. Recently, I haven't had much food. Thankfully, I got help with food at the pantry. I've gone without. I've lived in the car for years now, and I guess I'm finally at my end now. So I should have a home, but what has happened is they hacked my YouTube and they sealed all my money. So I never got to have money, never have gotten to have a home despite all the views that I got. I deleted all my videos to help others, and that's another heartbreaking thing is that I just decided to delete it all because I feel like why they've destroyed everything, and that's the heartbreaking thing. So I really, 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 really did genuinely try to help people. I know what it's like being molested, and I believe that this disassociation, that's like the psychic abilities, and that's what I made the video about. Like I was trying to tell you guys that if you've been molested, usually you might have these powers. I don't know. I guess being hurt. One thing this brown reptile kept telling me was that all this pain, something involving pain and you having power, like oh something like that. But it's like I don't want pain. I don't want to live in pain. I don't want it. I don't want any of this. None of this is what I want. So I basically I've had all my connections, my emails intercepted for years, and now I can't get any help at all. They've intercepted all my messages. I can't contact anybody. I can't talk to anybody. I can't get any help at all. They have it set up in communities where like I just can't get help at all. Um, so shortly after I turned 33, I cut my family off because my grandmother started sending me these repeated text messages. Um, I spoke to her first. It started me. I spoke to her on the phone. Sorry, guys. I put this thing up. I had to like block right here because this woman was like just standing by this file cabinet, staring at it. It was so weird. Just these people are freaks. But anyways, basically telepathically on the phone, she called me the N word and was called like I was getting headaches and stuff. Like I could hear them tell on the phone when I would call my mother, call my grandmother. There was also one time I had called my mother. And she's like, hang on a second. And then she gets back on the phone. And all of a sudden, I get a horrible migraine headache. So my mother, you know what? They both had all, and even my brother telepathically called me the N word. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So I had the worst headache. I'd hang up the phone. My mother uses to, she's a criminal. She's a non-human criminal. So is this whole pale skin family that I was placed with that ain't really my family. So I ended up stopped talking to my grandmother, and after she repeatedly kept trying to find my location, she kept on texting me over and over about like worried, an obsessive amount of phone calls. Like, are you okay? I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried. She had this like real control issue, and I guess she did this with my mother as well. And basically, like it just was constant drones coming over my head. And I figured that they're actually a part of why these planes keep flying over my head as well. Because she was saying something about like, you're in the middle of the woods and like, I need to make sure that you're safe, something like that. Like, so one day I was like, okay, I realized, I'm getting to realize they were tracking me from the state of California. So one day I had some experiences in the desert in Canyon City. I remember kept seeing these actual gray aliens at night. Something was being done to the lights in my car. I actually had video of all of it, but delete all my videos. And they've hacked my brain as well, I want to mention. So they will like work to do voodoo. They've hacked my brain as well with the MK Ultra to get me to do things. So I regret deleting all my videos. But what they did was that was actually shortly after I filed an FBI report about my hacking, that they did whatever to my brain to get me to delete all my videos on Mermaid of Mesopotamia. So yeah, it's really fucked up. So basically, like I said, I had this experience where there was these fingerprints on my lights, and I spoke to my grandmother about it. And she began to basically like kind of say I was crazy and ask if I was off my meds to make me feel uncomfortable. Every time I would bring up aliens to her, I don't know why, but she would ask me if I was on meds, and that's why, because she actually is one of these entities. And when you bring up about these entities to these entities, they are going to go ahead and they are going to call you crazy because they don't want to be found out. They don't want to be known about. At this point, I just wanted to cut her out of my life. I didn't want to be on the phone with her anymore, being telepathically called the N-word, being sent energy, getting their energy. There were times also, my grandmother has kidney issues, so I would talk on the phone. I think one time I spoke to her on the phone. I think she was having a UTI or a kidney infection or something. Next thing I know, after speaking to her on the phone shortly after, I started having pain in my kidney. I started having like all these kind of issues. And I know that they have been trying to affect my kidney. And my grandmother now needs like a kidney transplant, which we're going to get into right now in this document. So let me actually make sure. I think, hold on a minute. I just want to make sure that because I'm trying to keep this at 60 minutes. But then we're going to go back. Okay, sorry. Okay, hold on one moment. I gotta extend. Okay, guys, I'm back. So, yeah. So basically, this is what happened with my mother. So I cut my mother off. I didn't call her text more. I just I cut my mother off several times, I guess, and I didn't appreciate how every single time I would mention the fact I was being stalked and facing racism, she had no response or she did not care. I noticed that my family never ever dealt with any racism, targeting, any persecution, and they were supposedly black. Telling sometimes my mother would have this times where she would really just try to like emphasize how black she was, even though her skin was white as like this paper. Like really, it's like okay. And basically, like my mother would usually say, like you're not that important for someone to be stalking you, even though on the news we could see that there are racists that are hunting black people. She could see it, and my mother would say a lot of racist stuff about black people all of the time. They all could pass for white. My grandmother even has spoke about how my father's mother could pass for white and stuff like that. And yeah, I know my family is involved in stalking me and they belong in prison for sure, but they have some kind of connections to like keep them out of prison. My mother also took my vote. She took my vote and voted for me through the mail in California because I didn't have a Colorado ID yet, even though I was in the state of Colorado. My plan was to vote, and I had that plan once I left Colorado that I would never ever vote for any liberal ever. My vote was stolen. Nobody cares though. I still have like Trump supporters that attack me. They think that I'm like a part of this. They think that, or whatever they think. They stalk me and they attack me like every single day. I've told them that my mother's done this. I've told them that I'm being trafficked. Nobody cares. So that's why I'm like at a point, I'm not asking for help anymore. I'm not telling anybody what, I'm just done. I'm done with people 100%. I'm walking away. So this next election, I'm not even going to bother voting. I won't even be here in society due to the fact that everything has been done to me. Nobody has ever come to try to protect me, try to help me, or if they are, it's being blocked by these traffickers. So, yeah. So they also put me on probation for 2 years after keeping me in jail for 9 months. First time ever in jail, never been in any trouble in my life, ordering me to pay back money that I don't even have. I can't even pay it now because they're stealing my money. They're now stealing it through my account, just siphoning it. I don't even know how. I have no way to buy any more of the things I need, like basics. I'm not going to contact my family for help. I'm not bringing them back into my life. They're never going to come back into my life ever again, ever again. They are the ones that are responsible for this. The goal is to get me to contact them, though. So I'm done. I would rather be poor and homeless than ever live with them again. My life is hard, but it's way better than living with them, like I said. But now they're sending people to terrorize me in the state of Colorado on a daily basis, every minute. This is my father and my mother and my family doing this. My life is so much better without my fake family, my energy. I guess my grandmother got a new kidney because she had a kid. She had got a she had actually donated her kidney to my aunt who passed away, but she had ended up getting a like new kidney. It was a kid's kidney. Can you believe that she got a kid's kidney at the age of 70 years old within 3 months? Didn't have to get dialysis. This is how you know that these people are involved in crime. This is how you know that they are protected. My grandmother should actually be dead. She should not even be alive. But I learned that these reptilians live so long by eating the organs of humans. This is the secret organ trafficking that I am being through, and each day as a fight for life. I know that Janaki Neptune, her real name actually is Linda. It's actually another alias she's using. Is trying to have me killed for my kidneys so that she can have a kidney and she can continue to live on even though her time is up. Her time is fully up. The Most High is about to show her that her time is up and going to show all these people that their time is up. So, so that is what it is. This is the secret organ trafficking that I am being going through each day as a fight for my life. They have really increased the weaponry they are using, these tactics to get me to go crazy. Anywhere I park, they're showing up. I've seen racist comments. I've seen comments online that they're mostly hitting these laser lights on Black people or whatever. This has been the fight for my life. This 2024. I guess it's the year of the dragon. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Could be that too. I know that there's a hit on my life this year. I know it. People on YouTube have encouraged me to leave the state, but if I leave the state, they will put a warrant out for my arrest. I've made it very clear for people. I am very, very unhappy in this state to the point that I'm feeling so depressed. I'm so miserable in the state. I've had no help, no real lawyer. Pretty sure the public defender I had is working with this group. I already know she is. She's got the blue eyes. She's got the blonde hair. She's a Nazi. She really is a Nazi, for sure. She's one of them. Her name is Miranda Luster. She's a public defender. Do not ever use her because you will get the worst deal ever. But this was something here that was all paid for, orchestrated, and set up by also the judges, Jefferson County and Denver, state of Colorado. Yeah. So these people are like, I'm mostly blue eyes and blonde hair. It's a lot of illegal Hispanics and Jews that are all doing this gang stalking. Like I said, other illegal aliens. These are Asians and like Africans and all these like foreign people. And they follow me around every single day. They make my life so miserable. They coordinate this following and all this kind of stuff. So other than that, guys, that is actually pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and make another video about currently what's going on and get started. Okay, so thank you all so much for watching. That is part 9, and I'll be back with part 10 sometime. I don't know, it may be weeks or a week, who knows. I don't know when I'll be back, but love y'all so much, and I will definitely keep in touch the best way I can.